Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a special My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, I'm going to be doing, basically it's going to be a two-parter as I take a look at both what Microsoft and what Nintendo showed off at E3 this year, though. This one will be focused on Microsoft. The next one, which I'll probably post on Tuesday, though, will be on the Nintendo's E3 presentation, though. So, obviously, E3 has come and gone, and in some ways, it's great to see it come back after it was unfortunately canceled last year due to the whole situation with COVID-19, though. It was a little bit different as it was more of a digital event rather than the live, you know, going to the LA Convention Center and so forth and all that. So it was certainly different, but it was glad to see it come back, though. That said, though, there were, let's just say, the response has been kind of mixed at best. While there were some neat announcements that were announced and all that stuff, some of the stuff that was shown by some of the folks who were at E3 didn't exactly hit very well. Ubisoft, a lot of people point to Mario plus Rabbids being the only bright spot on that. Square Enix didn't go over too well. Capcom didn't go over too well at all or anything like that. Even Bandai Namco's didn't really exactly lit the world on fire and all that stuff. The only one I would say that was good that was outside Nintendo and Microsoft was probably Devolver Digital, but then again, Devolver Digital is in a league of its own, to be exact, though. But the two big ones that I think turned out to be what people actually agreed were probably the best part of E3 2021 was, of course, Nintendo's and Microsoft. Now, Microsoft certainly, in my opinion, had a lot to prove going into E3 2021. Up to this point, though, they've kind of struggled with a bit with the Xbox One, given how that system was launched and didn't really receive a lot of, well, it wasn't loved by a lot of folks, especially some of the decisions they made. Of course, when Phil Spencer came in and took over, though, he definitely did what he could to put the Xbox One in a better position, though. And I will say, to some extent, he did kind of succeed in that way, though. But at the same time, he also put his stamp on a couple of things as well, including Gamepass. And, of course, going into it now, they've just recently launched, you know, the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S that I have, though. And apparently, they're going into their first E3 with these systems and all. And I will say, as far as their E3 presentation goes, I would say this one was pretty good, though. I mean, there were certainly some announcements that they made that I definitely like, though, and there were some that I am mixed, though. Now, not every game they showed off didn't appeal to me as much, not all of the games, but there were certainly ones that definitely clicked with me the most, though. So what I'm going to do is basically split this video into two parts. Part one will be what I liked, and part two is what I didn't like and kind of mixed to a certain degree. So we'll start off first with part one. And the first one is going to be the fact that I'm very pleased to see that the majority of the games that they showed off at their digital presentation is going to be on Game Pass, and I think that is definitely a good thing, especially for those who have maybe an Xbox Series S and all. To see a lot of these games, including their first-party games, make their way over to Game Pass is definitely a plus for me, though. I've been trying out Game Pass, and I definitely like what I'm seeing. I like the whole idea of, you know, you can buy the games at a discount price, or, you know, just download it onto your system and all that stuff. Still a little mixed on the whole idea of them approaching it the Netflix style, though, but it hasn't stopped me from enjoying Game Pass plus first party games. That's definitely nice, though. So hearing that almost a lot of the games that they showed was going to be on Game Pass is definitely a good thing. Not to mention, they mentioned, you know, it will be on Xbox Series S and X, and you know, and of course PC, though. But it's nice to see it that Game Pass is getting a lot of attention. I think this was really a good approach for how they announced a lot of these games going on to Game Pass. The next one I do want to talk about that I did like was Stalker 2, though. Bear in mind, I do want to point out, though, I'm not really a PC gamer or anything like that. I don't have a PC or that kind of stuff. I mostly game on consoles than PCs, and I never played the first Stalker game. So seeing it, I'm going into it with not really a huge knowledge of the Stalker series. But based on what they showed so far, though, I'm liking what I'm seeing, though. I'm definitely getting a little bit of sort of a Metro vibe out of the game to a certain extent, and that's definitely not a bad thing. And since we know this game's coming to Game Pass and all, that definitely adds more to it, though. Plus, I prefer, when it comes to FPS shooters, though, I tend to favor more of the single-player experience, though. I tend to enjoy those games more than, those games like Call of Duty or like the ones that focus heavily on just multiplayer or anything like that. So Stalker 2 is definitely on my radar, though. It won't be out until say next year, but it's one of the games I'm looking forward to trying out on Game Pass indeed. The next thing I do want to talk about is Halo Infinite, and I will say that it is certainly, based on what they showed so far, it definitely looks like an improvement from what they showed last year, although I didn't think what Halo Infinite looked like last year was necessarily bad. Obviously, that didn't sit well with everyone, to the point that they had to really basically delay it to basically next year. And it looks like 343 Industries is definitely putting a lot of effort into it, though. I'm curious would like to see more about the campaign, but I am happy with what they showed so far. Plus, hearing the multiplayer side going to the free-to-play approach is better, but I'm still a little iffy, especially with the whole microtransactions and all that stuff. For me, though, when taking the free-to-play approach, I would say is a better choice than, say, what we've seen how some developers do basically charge $60 to $70 for a game and then put microtransaction on it, though. If it's a free-to-play game, I'm a little bit more lenient than, say, what we've seen what other developers do, as I mentioned, but still a little iffy, though. But so far the response to the multiplayer part of Halo basically is, or at least the free-to-play part, though, it seems to be sitting okay with a lot of folks, though. I mean, I might try it, though, but I'm more into the campaign style. But either way, though, Halo Infinite does look nice, though. Hopefully it does come out this year, barring any major delay, though. Also, on a side note, though, I would like to see 343 Industries like work on another game outside of Halo or anything like that. Not that I'm saying they shouldn't discontinue working on Halo, but if you look at, like, say, Guerrilla Games, for example, for Sony, they did the Killzone series before working on to their single-player game Horizon Zero Dawn. So I really would like to see 343 Industries work on another game outside the Halo series. That would be really nice if Microsoft can let that happen. The next one I do want to talk about is the game EIYUDEN. Again, I apologize, I'm not saying the name. Chronicles, though, they showed off a little bit of the video of it with some of the gameplay, though, and I will say, though, judging from what I'm seeing from it, though, it definitely has a little bit more of that Octopath Traveler vibe to the game, though. It looks really nice. Plus the fact that we're getting a prequel, which I believe is basically going to be a action RPG, if this is correct, though, so which will be out, I believe, next year, while the main game will be out, I think it's 2023. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll have to wait and see. But this game certainly does look nice, and I'm looking forward to this when this one comes out. I know it's going to be on other systems. Still unclear if it's going to come to the Nintendo Switch, although there's claims that the developers will try to, basically, they might wait until the next Switch comes out, whatever, if that happens. But either way, EIYUDEN, again, I apologize, I'm not saying it correctly, definitely is on my radar for one of the games I definitely want to try out, and I might get it for the Xbox Series S if it truly does not come to the Nintendo Switch or anything like that. The next thing I do want to talk about is the Outer Worlds 2, particularly its trailer. And I have to say, for what they showed for the trailer, that was very impressive, though. I mean, what they showed felt like Devolver Digital worked on that trailer. It was basically making fun and parodying, like, how a lot of studios overhype their games and so forth and all that. So it's really nice that they did that, though. They didn't show off any gameplay, which is probably one of the criticisms I would say for some of Microsoft's presentation, is that we only got like CGI trailers and all that stuff. So I do think there's some criticism towards to some extent about them not showing any gameplay, but given it's made by the same folks who first worked on the first one, though, My guess, although I could be wrong, my guess is that it's going to be very similar to what the first Outer Worlds was, maybe expand upon or improve upon in certain areas though, but I will say the first Outer Worlds was a very fun and enjoyable game indeed, and I am looking forward to the Outer Worlds 2. I'm curious to see what direction they'll take the story, but time will tell how that's going to play out. But in either way though, I definitely liked the Outer Worlds 2 trailer. I thought it was really nice how they were able to poke fun at the industry itself, aka sort of take like a Devolver Digital route to it though. So that certainly was nice. And last but certainly not least though, was Psychonauts 2. It's really nice to see that they are doing a sequel to the first game from Tim Schafer and Double Fines though. It definitely looks really nice. I'm a fan of 3D platforming and 2D platforming as well. So this definitely is definitely on my radar. Indeed though, I'm playing the first one right now through Gamepass on my Xbox Series S. So it's really nice that they are bringing this game back though. I am hoping it does well enough that perhaps maybe, just maybe though, not only do they ever decide to do a Psychonauts 3, but maybe we could see maybe a Brutal Legends 2. I mean, I would love for Tim Schafer and Double Fines to get another shot at doing a sequel to Brutal Legends. That would be great, though, if that does happen, though. Again, we don't know if that will happen or not, though, but time will tell if it does. But either way, though, I like what I'm seeing with Psychonauts 2, and it's definitely one of the titles I would be looking forward to, especially since we now know, along with, you know, the Outer Worlds 2 and Halo, though, it's coming to Game Pass. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for that title indeed. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I'm going to get to part 2, which is basically what I'm not a huge fan of, aka what I don't like, or what I'm kind of mixed on. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and now we are back with part 2 of my video of basically my thoughts of the Microsoft presentation that was shown though. So now that we did part 1, we'll do with part 2, and this is basically what I didn't like and what I'm kind of mixed on. And out of the presentation that they showed though, there's really only 2 things I could think of in terms of what I wasn't a big fan of in regards of the Microsoft presentation. The first one is that I am a little disappointed that some games were not shown at the event. Like, for example, I would have loved to see like Hellblade 2 be showed at the Microsoft E3 presentation, or even like, you know, the Perfect Dark game or anything like that. Hell, it would have been nice if they announced like, say, oh, we're making a Banjo-Kazooie game. I mean, that would be great if they were to do something like that. So it is a little bit unfortunate though that they did not show these games at Microsoft's E3 event though. I mean, does it mean that the event was bad? Oh, no, certainly not. I mean, Microsoft's presentation by all means was not bad or anything like that though. It's just that I will admit to some extent though, there were some games like Hellblade 2, although they did kind of talk about that at a presentation they had on Thursday and all that stuff, but it would have been nice if they had showed some actual gameplay for it though. It would have been really neat to see that. So yeah, there are some games I kind of wish that Microsoft did I would have liked to see them show during their E3 presentation. And last but not least though, there's one game that they also showed off, and they showed up another trailer for it though, and I will say I'm not on board with it yet though, okay? And that is basically Starfield. This is the upcoming game that Bethesda is working on though now, and which we now know which is now going to be exclusive to the Xbox or Game Pass in general though. And I will say for Starfield though, I'm not entirely sold on the game at this moment. Now, I do want to state for the record, though, I'm not here to say I want Starfield to fail, though. I want Starfield to become a success, though. I hope it is a good game, though. From what Todd Howard has said, though, or what I've been hearing about it, it sounds a bit promising, though. It's sort of like taking the same route as what Skyrim and Fallout is taking, which isn't a bad thing, and supposedly a single-player experience and all. So, it doesn't sound like a bad game or anything like that. The other thing is, though, is that Bethesda is known to publish or develop good games, though. Evil Within 1 and 2, I enjoyed those games, though, especially the first one when it came out at a time when Resident Evil was in a very low point until Resident Evil 7 came out, though. I definitely enjoyed the Dishonored series and the Prey series from Aulx Studios, though. The Wolfenstein series, one of my favorite FPS shooters, though. Machine Gun Games done a great job with it. I'm looking forward to see what they do with the Indiana Jones games that supposedly they're working on, though. To id Software's Doom and Doom Eternal, another favorite FPS shooter of mine, including the Rage series, which may not be on the same level as Wolfenstein or Doom, but still an enjoyable series nevertheless, though. And yes, I did enjoy, you know, Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 in general, though. So it's not that I hate Bethesda or Starfield, though. Bethesda, like I said, Bethesda is known to produce and publish actually good games, though. But at the same time, that doesn't mean Bethesda is immune to every criticism out there, though. They are known to basically, you know, milk Skyrim to death, for crying out loud. Although, to be fair, they're not the only ones. Rockstar with basically Grand Theft Auto 5, and Nintendo with, you know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which continues to sell very well. Same with GTA 5, though. So, but yeah, I mean, they have been known to milk Skyrim to death, though. There's also criticism of how they let modders fix their games when they are unplayable or broken or not fixed or anything like that, and treat like some of the bug glitches as sort of like it's a Bethesda thing. And then, of course, there's the situation surrounding Fallout 76 and how the launch was a disaster for that game, including the whole canvas bag debacle of a mess, including, you know, the whole, some of their credit card information when trying to get the canvas bags was exposed and all that stuff. So that game really exposed Bethesda to a lot of criticism. And I would say some of the stuff Todd Howard said almost felt like borderline Randy Pitchford / you know, the Alien Colonial Marine debacle, though. Now, to be clear, though, I'm not saying there's no indication that Starfield is going to be like Alien Colonial Marine, so let's just be clear about that, though. So I'm not saying that I want this game to fail. It's just that after what happened with Fallout 76, though, I do have some concerns about this game. That, and I'm also worried about people who are overhyping it to the point that they're setting themselves up for disappointment, just like what we saw when Destiny was announced. People were hyping the game up like it was the second coming of Jesus, only to be disappointed when the game officially came out, although supposedly it's better now and all. So I'm just, to me, though, I'm not entirely sold on Starfield at this time, but that doesn't mean I'm going to completely ignore the game in general. Like I said, it could be a good game, and since we now know it's coming to Gamepass, though, it's a good opportunity for folks to maybe try it out and see if it's something that clicks with them, or if it's something that that's something they enjoy. And if they do decide to enjoy it, though, as with Game Pass, though, if you decide to go ahead and buy it, supposedly you'll get a discount as long as that still remains. So, so to me, though, like I said, I'm just not sold on Starfield at this time. That could change when the game comes out, supposedly next year, assuming barring any major delay. But as of right now, I'm just not sold on Starfield. One last thing I do want to talk about, at least with Starfield, is the whole exclusivity thing, though. I mean, the fact that you can only play it on Game Pass or PC or Xbox Series S or X, though, isn't really that surprising at all. I mean, I'm not shocked to hear this in any way. I know despite some on the internet turning into a big deal or anything like that, I mean, yes, part of me would have loved to see this come to the PS5 or the PS4 or even the Nintendo Switch, if technically possible and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, though, Microsoft now owns Bethesda. They were willing to spend $7 billion to buy Bethesda, though, so they therefore they own the rights to their games and all that stuff. And whatever decision they decide to make is going to be their call. If they decide to say, hey, the only way to play Starfield is only going to be through Game Pass, PC, or Xbox Series S and X, so be it, though. I mean, that's their decision now. That's their call, whether people want to hear that or not. It's almost very similar to the situation we saw with, somewhat similar to the whole situation with Bayonetta 2, where people were making a big deal about it only appearing on the Wii U and then later on the Nintendo Switch. But people tend to forget, though, the fact is Nintendo was willing to 100% fully fund that game when Sega wasn't willing to fund it, though, and other studios, other publishers weren't willing to fund it either. Therefore, they were willing to fund it, therefore it is exclusive onto their system. Whether they choose to put it on another system or not remains to be seen, but I would say I wouldn't be holding my breath on that one. So if they're willing to fund it, it's going to be on their system. And it's the same thing with Starfield, though. Since Microsoft now owns Bethesda, it's going to be on their system. Yes, I'm a little somewhat disappointed, though, but I'm not losing sleep over it. So I think people need to put to rest the whole idea that Starfield is going to appear on PS5 or anything like that. I mean, unless Microsoft comes out and says they're going to bring it to the PS5, or unless they're under some contract obligation to do it, like we know with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, I don't see that happening. So, like I said, it's time to put the whole will it or will it not be on other systems to rest, though, okay? Microsoft now owns Bethesda, whether you love it or hate it, though. Starfield, the only way you're going to play Starfield is through PC, Game Pass, or on the Xbox Series S and X. So it is what it is. I know not everyone's a fan of it, but a lot of people have to sort of accept that reality, though. Okay, this concludes this video on my thoughts of Microsoft's E3 presentation, though. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Microsoft's E3 presentation? Do you thought the event was good in any way, though? Are you happy that a lot of the games are going to appear on Game Pass in any way? Were there any games that interest you that you thought were neat, like the ones I mentioned, like Stalker 2, Outer Worlds 2, Psychonauts 2, though? Were there certain games you were disappointed that they didn't show off in any way, though? And, like, what about Starfield? Are you sold on the game in any way? Or do you have some concerns you're not 100% sold on it, though, just yet, though? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, and assuming you watch this on YouTube, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you watch this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, wish you all a good day then. Bye!